One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We'll start in Jerusalem. This is Elvin, and I really appreciate your call. Hello.
Hi there, Rush. Good to speak with you. Thank you for having my call.
Oh, you bet, sir.
I wanted to briefly just share 3 points with you, if I may. Number one, I think of people in America, and I lived there for 14 years. I was born there. I feel very much an American.
Okay, Elvin, if you could do me just slow down just a little bit to account. You've got a cell phone connection. I want people to understand what you say. Slow down just a little bit.
No problem. As having been born in America and having lived in America for many years, I understand very much the American psyche. But I wanted to share with people, they should understand this war that's going on between Israel and Hamas. If one excludes the moral component and just looks at it from a purely personal safety point of view, if heaven forbid something were to happen to Israel and would no longer be here to fight this enemy, the folks in America need to understand we are next. We are the great Satan, and we will have terrorism at our doorstep. And it's not only someone else's war. What's going on at the moment in Gaza is those folks are fighting America's war, and people need to realize that, because without Israel, heaven forbid.
I actually think, Elvin, I actually think that this is a great point. The second thing you said first. People, and I'm going to include the Obama administration in this, since what they do is what matters. I think they do have a bit of a superiorist view of this, as though there's something taking place way far away. No impact on us, really. They don't even view Israel as an ally. They say that because they have to, but I guarantee you this bunch does not look at it. Israel is a problem. And I'm not speaking in religious, it's ideology, folks. Israel is a problem. It's for John Kerry, and you don't get to pick a liberal Democrat. It's a problem. And this conflict with Hamas or the Palestinians, however it manifests itself on a day-to-day basis, it's over there. It's a thorn in our sides. It's something they've got to deal with. But they don't think it has any practical application to the United States at all. The first point you made, Elvin, is he said let's take just take the religious components out of this. Is look at it as a war between two sets of human beings. It is a devastating thing for people on both sides. And it is something that can't go on. It has to stop. And that Israel is taking on an enemy that also views us the same way. Israel is the nation daily fighting these people. And the point is, if Israel loses, forget Jew and Arab, forget liberal, conservative, if Israel loses this, then we're next. We are. He's right. We are the great Satan. We are despised and hated because it is thought that we make Israel possible. So it's not something distant and far away that has no impact on us. That is why so many of us on our side do not understand why this regime cannot possibly understand how Israel is an ally of ours. Pure and simple. If that ever happens, you've got a solution. And how are they going to do that, folks? How's that solution? If that were to happen, how is there no Israel? And how are there no Jews living on the land that is now Israel? How does that happen? You think somebody's going to negotiate that? You think somebody's going to come along in the Middle East peace process and agree to that? You think the United Nations is going to pass a Security Council resolution everybody's going to vote for that wipes Israel as it exists off the map and puts the Jews that live there somewhere else? Preferably in the Mediterranean is what the Palestinians want. Now, the Israelis would be fine and dandy with a negotiated Palestinian state, except they know that that's not what the Palestinians really want. And therefore, how do you negotiate seriously when you know what they claim to want isn't true? When their stated objectives are not what their real objectives are? When you know what their objectives are your elimination. Israel can never, ever be allowed to participate in a solution because Israel's the bad guys. They can't ever do anything good. They can't ever do anything noteworthy. They can't ever do anything laudatory. That would blow everything sky high. The Israelis must always remain the bad guys, and as such, there will never, ever be a solution until they get their nuke. And then look out. And that is what Netanyahu knows. And anybody with common sense knows. And it doesn't take much common sense. All it takes is the courage to believe what the Iranians have told everybody. From Mahmoud Ahmadinejad to the Ayatollah Khomeini to the Ayatollah Khamenei to the whatever Ayatollah, whatever mullah, whoever you want to talk to. That's their stated objective. ISIS, you name it. That's their objective. And that, the elimination of Israel and the expulsion of the Jews from that real estate, that is the objective, and that is the only solution they're interested in, and that is the final solution. It's not a one-state, it's not a two-state, it's the final, and nothing short of that will ever be acceptable.
Many times, those people who haven't seen my show, but I tell you guys a lot, and I'm not kidding. I research and watch so much of old Rush Limbaugh videos, and I study and I want to learn. I want to understand how he was able to do what he did on an ongoing basis for so long at such a high level. And then when you break it down, what it actually is just telling the truth, just letting people know what you see. Because sometimes they get obfuscated or clouded or they have different things in their mind that they're not really focusing on what the big issue is, because there's so many different things, especially nowadays. You got Facebook, you got TikTok, you got YouTube, you got Twitter, X, and it's like, and 1,000 podcasters. But you got to break it down to one thing, and you got to put it in that box, because that's what that box is all about. You and I are seeing so many people out there screaming, and, oh, it's not our position, we shouldn't worry about it. And I think to myself, that's why I put the poll up earlier. How many of you guys remember Rush? Remember we all would tune in at 12 o'clock and we're like, okay, what's Rush going to tell us today? And so he's not God, obviously, but I look back and I go, here's a man of extreme wisdom that is the reason, the sole reason any of us can flick on a camera right now and do what I'm doing. Make no bones about it. Every single person, from the worst person on the left to the best person on the right, and everybody in between, everybody owes 100% of whatever they're doing to what Rush Limbaugh did. There would be no talk radio or conservative talk radio. There really is no liberal talk radio. He destroyed that. He destroyed everybody because he talked directly to you and me and said, here's what it is. He rarely had guests. He didn't have any video except for him, talking to the ditto cam. And he would just tell you what he was viewing. And as I took notes on that piece, and he talked about how the elites, back when it was Obama and Kerry, they had to say the words. They had to puppet it. Oh, Israel's our strongest ally. And it was choking them as the words came out of their mouth, but they just had to say it. And just moved. It was just a fluid river of people puppeting and parroting the same message over and over and over again. Israel's our strongest ally. Israel's our strongest ally, until it became quite fashionable not to think that Israel is our strongest ally. And then what you really have to dig into is, why did that happen? Why did people go from Israel's our strongest ally to, we're not going to have any of this, we're not going to fight, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do anything? Last time I know, if one of my best friends or one of my family members gets into something, I'm getting in it. I played a song the other day with Toby Keith. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. You can count on me. Something happens, you got to fight with some big old biker boys, call, yell, I'll be there. You can count on me. Let me ask you a question. How many people right now in your life can you count on? Someone that called you at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, hey man, I got busted for drunk driving. Can you come down and help me out? 3 o'clock in the morning. Call me in the morning. No. All right, be right there. Hey, I just had a problem with my wife, my girlfriend. I'm feeling really bad. Can you come over? I'll be right there. Hey, somebody just broke in my house and they did this and they did that and I'm terrified. Can you come on over? I'll be right there. Who's your be right there? As you sit here right now, think to yourself, who's my be right there? Who's that person you will call and say, I need you right now? And it doesn't matter how bad of a friend they've been. It doesn't matter what they've done. They came in, they did all stupid stuff. But at the bottom line, if somebody in your family, someone you love, somebody that you trust says, I need you, who is that person? Because whether or not people liked what Bibi Netanyahu has done, whether they like what Israel has done in Gaza, we were their ride or die. And it seems like so many people right now don't want to recognize we are the fire stop. We are the ride or die friend that has to go bail out this stupid friend we got again. I can't believe you got in a fight with your girlfriend. I can't believe you got pulled over for drunk driving. I can't believe you got in a fight in a bar. But you're there. You don't say, hey, it has got nothing to do with me, man. You and your girlfriend, she's crazy, you're crazy, y'all deal with it. No, that's not what friends do. And so a lot of people right now are forgetting, even what that message Rush Limbaugh just said, you heard. I dug that up from 7 years ago. He now departed. And the last part was yesterday with them burning the flag saying death to America. And you still have people going, hey, it's got to be okay. Let's not get involved here. Because, President Trump campaigned on no forever wars, which I agree with, no forever wars. But when your friend calls you and says there's a problem, or you're in a restaurant, or you're at a bar, and they're like, hey, Barry, this guy's beating on my head. Can you come help me? Ain't gonna be no forever war. We're gonna do something right now and end this. That's what I think we're looking at this point. And then I see a lot of people on the fringe who are trying to capitalize on this and not even thinking to themselves, hey man, I may not care for how they're doing it, but we gotta do it because it's going to come here. You want the proof? You want the absolute proof that mantra is exactly true? Look what's happening in our own country. When we said we wanted to stomp out communism in Vietnam, we did it the wrong way. When we wanted to stop communism here or there or Marxism, we did it the wrong way. We did it physically and we didn't think about it ideologically. And all of a sudden, here we are in 2025 and it's here. It's on your doorstep. Whether we brought it in ourselves or whatever, we've allowed the Ilhan Omars of the world and the Mandami guy in New York and all these people now who hate America and who have found a way to destroy America just by coming here. These people are idiots. I'll just convince the nuts. I'll convince these nuts that America sucks and we won't even have to fire a shot. Think I'm lying? Go look at what the rioters are doing now. They went from, in a very short period of time, transformer rights to free Palestine, to free the immigrants, to we love Iran. I had posted something about 3 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, when are we putting the Iran flag in our bios? Oops, I forgot. We also had Ukraine in there. These people will do anything to hate America. It doesn't matter. It is cause du jour. But the only way that they can succeed is because we allowed it to happen. Because we didn't stop it. So everybody who's out there saying, just let Israel handle it, it's not it has nothing to do with us. You can go back to 7 years ago and just listen to what Rush Limbaugh just said and many other people said. There is no solution to this. Those of you who are biblical, there's no solution to this. They don't want a peace treaty. They don't want a ceasefire. We have read this. We have seen this movie over and over and over again. They want Israel gone. That's their final solution. Full stop. Gone. Don't even want you people here. And then once we have this done, we're going to come knocking on your door. And you got people over here still debating whether or not we should be, quote, involved. You're already involved. You're involved because of the sake of humanity. You're involved because what happens to our country. Yes, America first. We want to have America first, but you can't have America first when it's fractured. See, America first right now only represents about 45 to 50% of the country. The other 45 to 50% of the country can't stand America. And they don't care about putting America first, and in essence, they want to destroy it. So how are you going to put America first when we're already possibly second in our own country? Have you thought about that? We're this close from being second in America while we're promoting America first. That is kind of scary. I don't mind being the underdogs, but I don't want to fight the people on my team. I don't want to see this person telling people they should get dishonorable discharges from the Army just to show and prove a point. What? Are you serious? It doesn't make any sense. We are slowly becoming second in this race for America first. So at this point, we need all hands on deck. And you can see it every single day. The media's not with us. Nope, they're not with us at all. This country is on the edge. And I'm not even talking about Israel. I'm talking about ourselves. Because we don't know how to win anymore. We don't understand. We can fix some certain things, but we have to make sure that we win first. How do we win if they lose? Because they're going to come here. And a lot of them are already here. People are estimating that there may be as many as, 100,000 Iranians in here? That we don't even know where they are? Maybe next door to you? And you think that those people who are chanting openly, remember, what's the old, I'm so sorry. The old adage that says, if someone tells you who they are, believe them. Well, they're telling you in no uncertain terms. Deaf to you. Deaf to you. Well, what do you mean? Well, it's over there. They don't really have anything to do with any. No, they're telling you, I hate you and I want you dead. So how can it not be ours to be involved when you know somebody wants to kill you, to eliminate you? And will continue, shut up, continue breeding that over and over and over again. Let me just let him out of here because he's driving me crazy. Look at these mullahs again just for a second here until I get back because he's driving me nuts here. And I was on a roll. Let that etch into your mind, that picture right there. Let that go right into your mind anytime anyone tells you it's not about us. They're not even holding an Israeli flag. And they're chanting death to you. And we have people over here bickering and fighting and screaming. I'm telling you, if someone tells you who they are, believe them. Believe the people here who tell you who they are, and believe the people over there who tell you who they are. And so we're going to hear a press conference here in any minute from Karoline Leavitt. And I think it's going to be one of the best press conferences we've heard in a while, because I can't imagine all of the different things people are going to be asking her. This came out a little while ago. Let me play this. This is from Fox News and Harris Faulkner.
Right now, the president is getting an intel briefing inside the White House, and he and his team are weighing their options on whether the United States should join Israel's attacks on Iran. One U.S. official has already told Fox the president has been asking questions to his aides about bunker-busting bombs. Exactly what are they? What do they do? Get into it. How many would you need? Iran says it would make the U.S. and its allies legitimate targets. But the White House says all options are on the table, and you know Trump means it. And according to the president, a ceasefire is not an option.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, you know. It's a lot of water over the dam. But, you know, it's I say it very simply. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon.
Why do you think President Trump has been saying that for 20 years, as he said? And why do you think he's saying it every single day now? I want you to think back. Here's a very methodical man who understands how to do communication and marketing better than probably most people do. And he's saying the same thing over and over. They can't have it. They can't have it. They can't have it. Well, pretty simple. When you see people, I'm not even going to name names, but they're out there bitching at each other and dropping, subcontext tweets and saying this and saying that. We didn't sign up for this. Yeah, you did. You 100% did. Let me tell you the 2 reasons why you did. There's many more, but 2 specific reasons in regards to this instance. 1, this man has told you over and over and over and over and over, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. He's never wavered on it. So how do you stop somebody from having a nuclear weapon? And number 2, and this is the foremost reason, given that he must have some information that you don't, and none of the people on X do, his first, most primary obligation as the President of the United States is to do what? I'll wait. You guys can answer that. What's his first and foremost obligation? Yep. Protect Americans. That's what President Trump has to be doing. He has to protect Americans. So if you see a bunch of people chanting, "Death to America," "I want to kill America," what is he supposed to do? Negotiate? They don't want to negotiate. When your opponent or adversary is at the back line saying, "This is it. What do you want? I want you dead." Almost dead? Can you break a couple legs? I don't know. Here, punch me in the face. No, I want you dead. All right, can we settle on some broken fingers? No, I want you dead. Wait a minute. Surely we can talk about this. Can you take my dog? Nope. I want y'all dead. How do you negotiate with somebody with that line? It's not like they're saying, "Well, we'd like to talk about some more oil. We'd like to have this. We'd like to have that." No, I want you dead. I don't know about you, but if somebody was trying to negotiate with me and they said, "The only thing I want from you is a dead American," I would have to say a ceasefire is not in the cards. I'm going to have to take you out. That's the only thing I can do at this point. And we're half a world away. I was just talking about us. Now think you're Israel. You're right there, and you look, and you realize at this point, tell me you're not still in 2025. Tell me you don't really still think that these people want to negotiate with Israel. Tell me that there aren't people on X and Facebook who think there's a negotiation to be had with Iran, the Palestinians, and Israel. Because if you do that, I've got some swampland to sell you down here in the Everglades. If you ever think that these people can negotiate a lifelong deal, we've already been told it. Pretty sure I've got a book down here somewhere called the Bible. When you've got that kind of deep-rooted anger, disgust, whatever the word you want to use, they don't want to negotiate. Yeah, you might get them to sign something now, but you look at them sideways, oh, here it comes again, boom. You think the Palestinians wanted to negotiate when they flew into the concert on October 7th and did all kinds of vile things to those people? Now let me ask you a question. What if that was one of your children? Would you want to negotiate? Or would you want to do what you got to do? Like I said, Rush Limbaugh is a wealth of knowledge. I can't speak for them, so I shouldn't say that, but I hope and pray that a lot of people who get in front of cameras and decide they're going to talk or even write, go back and look at the archives that this man has said. And there's so much, I've got different software. I can actually go in my software and say, okay, what did Rush say about this? Give me the episode. That's good. Let me dig into it and listen to this. I don't even play most of the time. I just listen. I watch. And I don't put it on here. I'm like, man, that was brilliant. Why don't you do that? You might need that refresher. Every once in a while, we need some refreshers. All right, so it's 1 o'clock. She has not come out yet. I'm waiting for her to walk out. Quick programming note for you. Programming note is our next prayer night, and what we're going to be, no, it's no longer going to be prayer night. because of my arrangement with Rumble and doing the jump over and everything, I didn't think it was really appropriate to do prayer nights while jumping over to Rumble and playing music and everything. So we are going to use Monday mornings. Monday mornings, we're going to begin doing prayer breakfast, I guess we can call it. I'll bring the coffee with 1775 coffee, not a spot, and you can have your donuts at home. But we're going to do like an hour-long, prayer service, beginning, what did Ashley tell me this morning? I don't want to give you guys the wrong time. I'll remind you, but I will post it in advance. Looks like we're going to do our first Monday morning's prayer meeting on June 30th at 10 a.m. So I'll post it. Don't worry. You'll see it well in advance. But Monday morning, what time? Wait 1 second. Where's the time? I think she said 10 o'clock. I'm pretty sure, Ashley, if you're in chat, 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. on Monday, June 30th, is going to be the first new prayer breakfast, I guess we could say. Also, after this press conference, which is due to start any time now, 2:15, we're going to wait. Monica Page is going to leave there, and she'll be on so we can recap whatever fireworks may happen in here. So we're just waiting for Karoline Leavitt to walk out, and then we will switch to her. And those of you who've been here before, let me just tell you, I use one feed to get on, then I check the other feeds to see which is clearer, has better sound. So if you see some waffling in the first couple minutes, then you know what that's all about. That being said, while we wait, let's take some comments here. Let's see here. End this thing and support DJT. Yeah. Man's got enough on his shoulders right now without everybody just screaming and second guessing him and saying some stupid stuff. I'll bring apple fritters. Don't do that without telling us. Here, I'm sure most of the people are not getting it. What you're saying. Used to live fairly close and had a chance to observe them. President Trump, great idea for prayer breakfast. Thank you very much. Let's see here. The crescent moon is rare. Jesus invited us to fear God alone. That's how I feel about it. I've seen his power and love and felt his his admonition. Yes. These are the days of Haman. What they try to do, us will be done unto thee. Good point. We need to take care of the BS that we have in the streets of America right now. Nothing could have exposed these people as being completely paid idiots as seeing them just turn around that quick and now be, pro-Iran. So, which tells you it's all anti-American. They don't really care what it is. Give us a cause. Give us something that we can work with to overthrow this government. That's what they want. See, I was going to wait until after the press conference and wish you all very happy Juneteenth. As a black person, let me just tell you, this is the biggest crock ever. Ever. They're going to go ahead and make up a holiday simply for that's how bad it is. I don't even know what it's for. I don't even know what it commemorates, other than the fact that BLM and everybody wanted their own holiday to do what? So it's Biden's day off. Biden's day off. Crazy. Why are so many MAGA people turning on Trump? I voted for him for a reason. Well, very simple reasons, I think. Here's what the reasons are, I think. You guys can opine on your own. One of those reasons, I think, is money. It sells. It's easy. And let me just tell you something. I'll go back and give you some idea. When I started doing Trump stuff back in 2015, 2016, and I was on Facebook at that time, and I told you I've been booted off of Facebook, and I found out from marketing, and I'm like, you know what? I would see so many people who were trolls, like we see here. And so I would play the trolls off against each other and say something about Hillary, and all of a sudden they would all come in and start bitching and moaning and everything else. But see, back then the algorithms were built upon engagement. And so it was like throwing red meat in the water. And then as long as people came and swam and took the bait, your numbers went up. And as long as your numbers went up, your money went up. And so I think there's people out there, I truly do think there are a lot of people out there playing the algorithm. I think there are people who put stuff up knowing it's going to be fire and bait. Fire meaning it's going to attract the moths, conservatives, who are upset, but they just can't look away from this train wreck. And it's going to attack the piranhas who hate Trump. And so you're going to have double the engagement, and you don't really care what's happening to your feed or the people, because that engagement allows you to make more money. So if you are truly unscrupulous, and if you wanted to say, you know what, I don't really care about Trump. I'm not really MAGA. It was fun to be on it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing stuff that I'm going to get people who are pissed off at me to start come and watch my stuff, and I'm going to get the people who hate Trump, and they're going to say, yeah, good job, you're absolutely right. And I was swimming in one of these person's feeds last night, and that's exactly what was happening. They were all fighting. They're all calling names each other, F you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm pretty sure the person who I won't name looked at that feed and went, hey, look at these people. Look what I did here. Look at, they're giving me thousands of engagements, and I'm getting paid. Oh, here's some more. Here's some more. Because that's how it works in certain platforms. If you don't really care about the integrity, and it's like I can make some money, yeah, just put the bait in the water and let all the fish fight over it. And all you've got to do is just throw the content out there, and then. Because personally, if I have a problem with somebody, I'm not going to send them a text. I'm going to pick up the phone and say, hey, man, you got a problem? Maybe, do we need to talk about something? Or do I need to send a post that everybody can see? And I can call you names, and then everybody comes in. It's an easy formula. Try it. If you think I'm lying, put something out, and then you'll watch both species come together, because people love controversy. They love it. And thankfully, we've got mods here who try to keep it as clean as possible. And some people get pissed at me because they get banned or whatever. I don't care. I don't want that infection. And I'm not here for a short-term payoff. I'm here to build community, to build interaction that I want, not interaction just to have it. So it's very easy. It's so easy to game the algorithms. Trust me, I've been doing social media marketing for a long time, and everything I'm telling you, I actually did with clients. I've told you stories about working with Papa John when all this stuff happened with him. And I was like, capitalize on this, bro. I was like, what do you mean? Enjoy it. Embrace it. The bottom line is this. You don't know the people who love you, and you don't know the people who hate you, what they're doing at 12 o'clock midnight when they're hungry. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. Hey, can I get that double sausage pizza real quick? But don't come to the front door. Come to the back door. Yeah. You know how many times people, because you can see who they are and everything, you can see their social profiles, we're ordering pizza. It had nothing to do, and supposedly hated him. How many people, ever remember that video that was out, that when Chick-fil-A started not opening on Sundays and had their anti-LGBTQ thing, and then they caught some prominent guy on YouTube who was gay, eating some Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you've ever seen that. He's like, man, these fries are banging. I'm going to download that tonight. He's actually made a video. These fries are banging, yo. That's exactly what he said on screen. Because sometimes, just like the music I play at night, see, that's funny too. That's a good example. You get some of the people come in and they're starting, oh, they got this music, and I'm like, do you not remember being 21? Did you not just have fun? You just say, oh, I remember that tune. I remember where I was when that song came out, without telling everybody else, oh, it's bad, you can't listen to it. It's easy. It's very easy. It's so easy that I knew when I had to do the Rumble jump over, I said to myself, how can I get people engaged? Play music they love and wait for the ones who hate it, and they're going to engage too. Because you can't stop. Stop! Remove your fingers. No, it's free speech. Okay. Nobody cares. Oh, wait a minute. Nobody cares? I don't care. Where's my thing? No, I don't. I got to put a button on here because that's going to be played a lot. I don't think I have anything. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
So anyway, that's the answer as to why so many people are supposedly turning on MAGA, is because they're not turning on MAGA. They know exactly what they're doing. And how you also know they're not turning on MAGA is something very simple. Doesn't cost you anything right now. Doesn't matter if Trump's ratings go down or up. He's a president for the next 3 years, and he's not running for re-election. So unless somebody call him in November of 2028 and tell him, are you still mad about what he did in 2025? Yeah, a lot of us would like to know if the stuff you said in 2025 still matters today. And most likely it's going to be, nah, I can't vote for Bernie, or if Bernie's still alive or whatever, Democrat. Just take it with a grain of salt. Just tell them to shut up at this point. I want to hear different opinions. That's how I know what I stand for and how I got there, which is specifically why I play so many clips of what's going on the left. Again, my grandson playing football, I told him he's got to study film. He's got to study film of your opponent so you know what your opponent's thinking, what they're doing, so you can get inside their head and know what they're all about before you even play against them. So as I'm watching stuff on MSNBC and CNN, I'm like, these people are stupid. They need to be exposed. You need to understand who you're going up against. Good comment there. Let's see here. I think Barry picked up on what I've been thinking since he started the switch over. Bad Company would be good. Thanks for last night. Yep, I played it. Yep, I did. The fries are good. He's talking about Chick-fil-A. I never liked the breakfast sandwich. I haven't had a breakfast sandwich over there. Is the stock market closed for Juneteenth? Good question. I know banks are, and I know that post office is, and I shall tell you right now if the stock market is closed. And nope, it's down. Actually, as of 1 p.m., it's down 400 points. So the stock market seems to be open, but it is what it is. Here, let me keep looking here. Yeah, it's open. It's open. So she's 15 minutes late, very unlike her, so we'll continue. MAGA, there it is. MAGA is not people. It is a spirit. That's what she says here. MAGA is not a people, it is a spirit. Let me go full here. Those people hate him. BLS do Korea. Now you don't want to get in my head. I want to get in your head, expose what you're thinking. See, that's just it. I am too transparent. A lot of people are like, well, Barry, you said, I'm like, no, I didn't say this. You can see exactly what I said. I've learned from a long time ago for two reasons. One, I'm way too big. When I was in high school and college, you can't hide. you're out there. You can't hide. And the other thing is, I don't need to hide. See, and I told my grandson this when he was down here. There's a movie. I don't remember the movie, but Willie Nelson was a prisoner, and he was on his deathbed, and what he said was, just never lie to anybody. And the guy he was talking to said, why? What do you mean? He goes, these people who don't like you, there's no reason to lie to them because it doesn't matter. And then the people you do care about, you don't want to lie to because then you could lose them. And I can't believe here I am at my age. I think I saw that. I can't even recall the movie. I recall the scene. I can recall what exact words he said. I remember him being in the hospital bed telling that guy that. And I was like, that's some phenomenal statement right there. Don't lie. You don't need to. These people who don't like you, who gives a crap? So tell them the truth and they don't like it, move on. And the people over here, don't lie to them because you don't want to hurt them. These are people you care about. Doesn't mean I haven't. I mean, well, we've all made mistakes, but it's still, you know, when you draw the guidelines on the highway of life, and there's two lines here, nobody ever goes like this. Nobody goes in a straight line. You see, what you do as you're progressing is you're bouncing off the side rails, and sometimes you have straight, and then you're bouncing again. And the only thing you just don't have to do is make sure you don't go off. Don't go off the rails, because then you're in trouble. But in order to progress, you just keep bouncing a little bit straight, bounce some more. That's just how I live at this point. If I'm not mistaken, whoa! Boom! If I'm not mistaken, that was from the movie Thief, starring James Caan and Willie Nelson. You're absolutely right. Wow, I just got chills. I'm like, I had no idea what movie that was. And I just remember watching it, and that's it. It was Thief. Man, some of you guys are good. Oh, man, that's really good. Wow. Why is the stock market not open today? Because you be a racist. You don't understand this Juneteenth. What is it? June 19th? Juneteenth, whatever it's called. It's a federal holiday, yo. We got the whole thing off because the blacks people said we get our own holiday. Barbecues and whatever. But anyway, the stock market, post office. Oh, why is it open? No, it is. I'm sorry. The stock market is open today. I mean, I just checked on CNBC and I'm seeing the numbers, so I believe it's open. Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, it's open. Yeah, it's wide open. So that threw me for a second. It's not open. It's open. It's actually open. And it dropped. It gained like 300 points in the last 15 minutes. It's down to negative 444 when it was negative 395. All right, so we're still waiting for. Yes, banks are closed. Let's see here. Mini thunder shower here in Ohio. She hasn't walked out yet. She's never this late. Never this late. We have Monica set to come on at 2:15, and Monica might still she might still be in the press briefing by the way this thing is going. David Carner says I should learn my national anthem. Hey, hold on. Let me see. Let me see how well I don't even know the title of it. Lift Every Voice. Is that it? The Black National Anthem. Oh my goodness, if my father was alive. Oh my God, if my father was alive, he heard them say Black National Anthem. Like, what? Boy, come here. What are you talking about? Black National Anthem. He would be losing it. He would absolutely be losing it. Clearly, Barry isn't an investor. Sure I am. You know what though? I'm not a day trader. I don't want to get into all the things, but there's a difference between holding and not worrying about it or being a day trader. So day traders, they sit there and they watch the thing all day long and they jump in and they jump out and all that kind of stuff. Stuff I buy, that Robin allows me to buy, I buy and I hold. Let me see, I check it, in the morning, I'll check it at night and just leave it. I'm not in there for a 24-hour period. Just how I am. Maybe it's because I did so much real estate. When you do a lot of real estate, you don't check it every single day. You drive by it, maybe on a Saturday, make sure it's still there, right? Yeah, they haven't burned anything down yet. It's still there. So yeah, I'm not that kind of a guy. There is only one national anthem. You're absolutely right. I used to hear that too. Barry, you're a Jamaican, not a real black man. I'm gonna throw you for a loop right now. You ready for this one? Okay. I've had that many times. And then I would tell people, I'm not Jamaican. Like, what do you mean you're not Jamaican? Well, my father was Jamaican. My mom was born here in Connecticut. I'm not born in Connecticut, here in Connecticut. Now you want to hear the real funny stuff. Both of my grandfathers are white. My father's father was a white man, and my mother's father was a white man. So I don't know what you want to call me. I just know when I went to school and they said check the box, I was just supposed to check that box. What's the old formula? One drop of coffee means you're still black. Even if it's a cup of white milk, you put you're black. So Jamaican, black, whatever you want to call me, I just happen to be it. And I used to screw people up all the time. What are you? Spanish? I can't tell you how many times I'm walking through an airport or something, people go, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And make it even worse, we go to Jamaica on vacation, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you've ever been to Jamaica and got out of the resort and heard some Jamaicans playing some dominoes and talking, you're going to need some subtitles from them people. Okay, because I've had many a relative come over to the house on a Friday or Saturday night, and my dad would be down there, and my friends are like, what are they saying? I'm like, I have no idea. I just know they're drinking rum and doing crazy stuff, and just make sure there's no chickens around the house, okay? Because that's when the real crazy stuff happens. Chickens and goats. But other than that, let's go upstairs and watch TV or something, because they down there acting crazy, and I can't tell you what they're saying. But I used to screw people up. Oh, you're Jamaican. You're not black. Well, if you want to go there, I'm really not black then, huh? We are American mutts. Exactly. Okay, is she coming out? I see reporters stirring around, people wondering what's going on. Doesn't look like much of nothing happening yet. They're all sitting there like children waiting for the substitute teacher to show up. You're a man who can't tell the stock market is closed. I'm just clicking on CNBC and going back through it and recharging. Yeah, that's the first time I checked it. So, whatever. That just tells you I don't worry about it. You know why? I got an app. And my app tells me this is where you're at. Again, I am not a day trader, nor will I ever be a day trader. Thank you very much, David. The stock market is closed today. You know what's not closed today? Let me tell you what's not closed today. And you guys know I know this one because I was just doing some of it. It's this. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability. And that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver. Not paper, not certificates. Actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private ExGroup by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so we know there was a national security conference meeting earlier. I played that piece from Harris Faulkner, so maybe there's some talk, something, who knows. But she's never this late. He would be. We've seen him be late, but she's, okay, here we go. Here she's walking out right now.
Powerful efforts to secure our homeland are working. According to newly released numbers, last month, Border Patrol saw a 93% decrease of illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry from May 2024 under Joe Biden, when they encountered more than 117,000 illegal aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding. In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration. Let's contrast that to Joe Biden's failed leadership, where immigration officers were wasting their finite time and resources processing dangerous illegal aliens for release into the United States. President Trump immediately terminated that reckless Biden-era practice that undermined the rule of law, jeopardized public safety and our national security, and diverted critical resources away from stopping deadly drugs and violent criminals from entering our country. That's the reason why not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States in the month of May. And as a result, we now have a border that is reaching unprecedented levels of operational success. The efforts by President Trump to stop the illegal immigrant invasion and secure the border in this short amount of time represent one of the greatest achievements by a presidential administration in the history of our great country. With illegal entries being overwhelmingly halted, the Trump administration is dramatically ramping up efforts to arrest and deport all of the millions of criminal illegal aliens that Joe Biden let into our country over the past 4 years. President Trump has directed all of our ICE officers to do everything in their power to carry out the single largest mass deportation operation in history. Illegal criminals who are hiding in America's largest so-called sanctuary cities will be increasingly targeted for removal. Radical Democrats will no longer be allowed to shelter illegals who threaten public safety as part of their cynical efforts to expand political power, drain the American taxpayer, and artificially lower wages and steal American jobs. ICE officers are courageous heroes, upholding the rule of law and keeping our citizens safe. And they have the full and unwavering support of this president. In economic news, President Trump's pro-growth agenda is delivering for the American worker. Through the first 5 months of the Trump administration, real blue-collar wages are up nearly 2%. It's the strongest growth in nearly 60 years and a stark contrast from the negative wage growth seen during the first 5 months of the Biden administration. America is quickly returning to the successful formula of the first Trump administration: low inflation and rising wages. Once the big, beautiful bill is passed, this positive trend will only accelerate. Senate Republicans are continuing to push this critical legislation forward. The One Big Beautiful Bill will drive growth and supercharge the American economy. The Council of Economic Advisors found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will raise take-home pay by nearly $14,000 for a year for the average family of four. The CEA also found that the One Big Beautiful Bill will increase wages as much as $11,000 for the average worker in America. The One Big Beautiful Bill expands the child tax credit and makes it permanent for more than 40 million families with children. And the bill will deliver no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and substantial tax cuts for our incredible seniors. Simply put, the One Big Beautiful Bill is a massive win for middle-class Americans. When nearly 80 million Americans sent President Trump back to this White House, they were doing so expecting these popular policies to be enacted. Republicans in Congress have a mandate to deliver, and President Trump demands they send this historic bill to his desk for signature by Independence Day, July 4th. The American people are fully behind President Trump. According to brand new polling from Insider Advantage, a clear 54% majority of Americans approve of the job President Trump is doing. That's because this president is keeping his promises and taking action every day to improve their lives. And passing this bill will help fulfill a number of President Trump's core campaign promises. Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media seat. We have Eli Lake from the Free Press. Eli, go ahead.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
The Free Press. The decision to extend the, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal. And the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's widely popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson reported on a meeting between the president, Mark Levin, and others at the White House. Is there a leak investigation, and can you say who else was in that meeting?
I'm not aware of a leak investigation at this time. I, for one, do not reveal details about the president's private meetings without his permission to do so. But certainly the president does not like when people leak. He takes that very seriously. This entire administration takes that seriously, and that's why you've seen at agencies some of the cabinet secretaries have been given the authority by the president to let go of staff who are engaged in such leaks, especially those that risk American national security. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war with voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists. In 2015, the president said the problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States. And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
A follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm whether Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister? And does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale. The president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia-Ukraine, might I add, these are 2 very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength, and the president's leadership, we have seen these 2 sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now. Go ahead. Sure, and then behind you too.
Sorry, sorry. On the topic of negotiations and talks, does the president have any hopes or specific expectations for the talks tomorrow between European foreign secretaries and their Iranian counterpart?
Well, certainly the entire world is on the president's side when it comes to the fact that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. This is something that pretty much all of humanity, except for the Iranian terrorist regime themselves, agree upon. And so the president expects that Europe will deliver that message directly to the Iranians.
Why does President Trump believe that this 90-day extension on TikTok will provide more runway, perhaps, than the previous extensions that haven't led to a divestment deal?
Because it's more time to make a good deal. Simple question. Dasha?
Thank you so much. I know things are going day by day. Right now, the president wants maximum optionality. Is the possibility of the U.S. getting involved in regime change in Iran at all on the table at this point? And then I have one on
Sure. The president's top priority right now is ensuring that Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon and providing peace and stability in the Middle East.
On Medicaid, Caroline, the Senate put forward Medicaid provisions, particularly a lower cap on state provider taxes that hospitals have said would lead to mass closures, particularly in rural communities. Is the president willing to sign a bill that includes those provisions that Republican senators like Josh Hawley say will lead to hospital closures?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions that the White House is very much actively involved in with our friends in the United States Senate, I won't comment on that specific provision. Look, the bill hasn't been sent to the president's desk yet. There's more room for change. The president, for one, I will reiterate, has been very clear on his priorities with respect to Medicaid. He wants to see waste, fraud, and abuse ridden from the system to protect it for tax-paying citizens who deserve those much-needed benefits. He wants to prioritize the sick, the needy, the poor in this country who deserve those benefits, not the 1.4 million illegal aliens who are receiving them. And he wants to make sure this one big, beautiful bill kicks those illegal aliens off of this program to preserve it and protect it and strengthen it for the American people. And the president has been very clear in that message to his friends in the Senate. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Logistically, if the Iranians are getting to Geneva, does that mean they've found a way to get to the White House?
I am not going to get into hypotheticals, but as you heard from the president yesterday, they have expressed interest in doing so. Philip.
Pressure on the president to come to the aid of Israel. There's a lot of pressure on him to finish the job with force. How is he balancing the concern that if he doesn't choose to do that, that it would send a message to Xi Jinping about the U.S. commitment to Taiwan?
Well, the president enjoys a very respectful and cordial relationship with China's president. He has long maintained that, even in his first term. And China and the United States share many strategic interests, both in terms of economics and also, of course, global affairs and foreign policy as well. However, when it comes to balancing these different viewpoints, the president is balancing a lot of viewpoints, and he is listening not just to other world leaders, but to his advisors and to people here in the country and the American people too. And I think that's what makes this president such a great leader, is his ability to listen and make a good decision on behalf of the American public based on his instincts and his experience. Don't forget, this is a president who was here before, and the world was a much more peaceful and stable place when he left office than when he came back in after the past 4 years of complete incompetence by the previous president. Philip, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Two quick questions. When the president says Iran is very close to a nuclear weapon, is he relying on U.S. intelligence or intelligence sharing from an ally to make that assessment?
It is a fact, and the United States government maintains this fact, that Iran has never been closer to obtaining a nuclear weapon.
And then if the U.S. were to take some type of military action, would the president go to Congress to seek war authority?
I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals. I gave you the statement from the president. He'll make a decision within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Mary and then Elizabeth.
Two questions, one on Iran and then the second on something Jasmine Crockett said this morning. So given that we know the Iranian government did order an operative to assassinate the president, is there concern that Iran might respond with non-traditional military ways to some kind of strike on Iran, such as another assassination attempt? And has the Department of Justice looked into this last attempt on the president's life?
I believe Secret Service and the FBI have looked into the 2 assassination attempts that took place against the president, both of which were sad days in our nation's history. So I would defer you to the Department of Justice on where those investigations stand. But as for your question regarding Iranian retaliation, I'm not going to engage in hypotheticals again, but I can assure the American public and the world that this administration is prepared and ready to defend American interests and assets, not just in the region, but here on our homeland as well.
Thank you. And then really quick on Jasmine Crockett, she said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself. Jennifer.
One on North Korea and one on China. On North Korea, they launched some rockets into the ocean today. What does the White House make of that? Do you read any meaning into that timing of that launch? And then on China, do you have any reaction to Xi Jinping's offer of intervening in Iran diplomatically? And are you seeing any signs that China would get involved militarily to support Iran?
I don't believe we're seeing any signs of that at this moment in time. As for Xi Jinping's offer, I will leave it to the president to respond to that himself. As for your question about North Korea, we are monitoring the situation. The Trump administration is in close contact with our new South Korean counterparts as we work together to deter our adversaries and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific. And no matter where, our adversaries and our allies alike know that President Trump will not tolerate threats against our interests on his watch, even as he works to resolve the wars that he inherited. Alex, go ahead, and then I'll come to you.
Thank you. Is the president concerned about the economy if farms and hotels, et cetera, struggle to find workers?
The president's always concerned about the economy. That's on his mind every day. He wakes up, he checks the markets, he checks wage growth. As I pointed out, it's a record high today for middle class and American workers. So the president's always wanting to ensure that we have a strong and robust economy for the American people and worker, and we do. As for the specific concerns regarding jobs, look, the president has made it very clear we need to remove public safety threats from the interior of our country, and that remains the focus and the priority of this administration when it comes to deportations, no matter where somebody works. If they're an illegal alien rapist or murderer that was allowed into this country in the past 4 years by this administration, the American people want those types of criminals to be deported from our country, and that's what the president is backing ICE to do.
Thanks. There was an apparent skirmish between the Chinese and the Philippines in the South China Sea. Just curious if you had any reaction to that, and if the steps you're taking towards the Middle East right now are reducing your capacity to deal with that situation.
I believe that happened as I was preparing and coming out here, so we'll get you a response to that. Certainly we have one, and our teams are always monitoring situations all around the globe.
Okay, and then one more just on Iran. Just over the past 24 hours, we've seen some Israeli strikes on Natanz, Isfahan, and Kondab nuclear facilities. Is there any assessment just of how effective or what the result of those strikes will be?
What I can share is that the IDF and Israel, I think, have exceeded a lot of people's expectations in their ability to really hinder Iran's nuclear facilities, but also they've taken out key people in the Iranian regime's leadership as well. So this is something, of course, we are monitoring and watching every day, and the president was just in an intelligence briefing. He continues to be briefed by his National Security Council, and he will throughout the duration of this war and conflict. And he also remains in constant communication with our Israeli counterparts, most notably Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kristen.
Thank you, Caroline. We have heard from a number of U.S. officials who say that Iran doesn't want to make a deal, that they are just stringing the United States along. What is to say that they are not going to continue to do so if we if we continue to give them extensions, now 2 weeks before 60 days?
Look, Iran is in a very weak and vulnerable position because of the strikes and the attacks from Israel. And with respect to the president's statement, I shared that with all of you. And he has been very direct and clear. Iran can and should make a deal. We sent a deal to them that was practical, that was realistic, or they will face grave consequences.
Why is Steve Witkoff not participating in the talks this week?
I can ask Mr. Witkoff why he is not.
Thanks, Karoline. Does the president object if Israel attempts its own operation against Fordo in the next 2 weeks?
I won't decide that for the president, nor will I share that here. I'll let him speak to that.
Just another one. Iran is apparently warning Europeans that if struck by the U.S., it may withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. That would result in throwing out inspectors and taking the program dark. What does the president think of the value of having Iran as a full signatory of that treaty?
Well, that's reckless rhetoric, but I understand the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians tomorrow, so we'll see how that meeting goes.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline. The fact that this president is giving some time and space for diplomacy, another 2 weeks, does it mean that the president is trying his best to avoid a direct conflict with Iran?
I think the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but believe me, the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary. And Iran and the entire world should know that the United States military is the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world, and we have capabilities that no other country on this planet possesses. Owen.
Caroline, good afternoon. The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
It's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children. Elizabeth, go ahead. Sorry, I skipped you earlier.
Thank you so much. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced new vetting procedures on student visas. Will this serve as a model for vetting other foreign visas?
For all foreign visas, yes. As you know, the president signed an executive order, I think it was one of the first he signed in the first week, to strengthen our vetting requirements and our vetting system here in the United States for all visas. He directed the Secretary of State to do that. There was a pause in some of that vetting, as you all know, recently, especially with respect to students from some certain countries. But the vetting has continued, and it's stronger than ever before. As for specifics on how the vetting process has changed, I would defer you to the Department of State. As you know, they're in charge of things like that.
Thank you. To what extent is this 2-week delay with Iran the result of interventions by the likes of Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the entreaties of European leaders who want a de-escalation?
Look, the president hears all voices across the country, and he makes decisions based on his instincts. And he has always said diplomacy is his first option.
And is he still planning to attend the NATO summit next week?
He is, yes. We will be departing from Washington on Monday morning, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. Kayla.
Thanks, Caroline. Oil prices have been spiking over the last week. Is the president watching the oil market, and is that factoring into his decision-making in the Middle East?
Again, as I said to, I think, Alex's question previously, the president is always watching, and this administration is doing more than any in history to bring oil prices and gas prices here at home down for the American public. They have been plummeting since President Trump's inauguration because of the executive action and the federal action this administration has taken on the home front. But yes, of course, he's paying attention and monitoring that. But as for whether it's weighing into his decision, there's a number of factors that, of course, are, and as I said, he will make that decision in the next 2 weeks. Can't reiterate that enough. Ouija.
Caroline, thank you. With regard to a potential deal, Iran has said it will not negotiate under duress. Does the president believe there should be a ceasefire in these next 2 weeks as the U.S. tries to broker a deal?
That's not what he said in the statement he dictated to me, so I won't get ahead of the president or add anything additional to the statement that he gave me the liberty to share with all of you.
And then just to follow up on how close Iran is to a nuclear weapon, can you clarify when the president said a few weeks away, did he mean obtaining enough enriched uranium to start building a weapon, or did he mean Iran is a few weeks away from completing the production of a weapon?
I'm glad you asked that, Weija. It's an important question, and it's one, frankly, the media has been getting wrong. Let's be very clear. Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the supreme leader to do that, and it would take a couple of weeks to complete the production of that weapon, which would, of course, pose an existential threat not just to Israel, but to the United States and to the entire world. And that is something that the entire world, including countries like Russia, is in agreement with, that Iran should not and cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president believes that, and he's believed that, again, not just his political career, but frankly, his entire life.
So it
Michael.
sounds like it's the former, just to be clear. That
Correct.
they have the components. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Michael.
Caroline, as we look forward to the NATO summit next week, Spain right now is threatening not to oblige the president's request for all NATO countries to spend at least 5% of their GDP. Does the president take issue with this, with Spain right now?
I didn't see Spain's comments. I'll make sure the president sees them, and I can assure you he wants to see all European countries pay their fair share and meet that 5% threshold. It's only fair considering the American taxpayers have given a significant chunk of money to the tune of billions of dollars to support our mutual interests and our assured defense. So I will let him speak to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including Spain.
Thank you, Caroline. One last question. When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions, and the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
Well, that seemed pretty uneventful. Didn't seem like she was in a good mood. Didn't seem like the people in the press had a lot to say. Just very, very weird in general. Now, the one thing we did here, and it's important because already it was misconstrued by somebody in the press crew when they said President Trump is going to give 2 weeks. That's not what he said at all. I mean, that's not what he said, and that's not what she also relayed. I'm going to play you specifically in case anyone out there tries to tell you that President Trump has delayed things for 2 weeks. That's not true. It's amazing. You just heard the stuff come out of her mouth, instantly come out of her mouth, talking about what the decision actually is right now. And no sooner than she had said it, they're already asking questions and saying the wrong thing. So I don't know if you heard it. Maybe you didn't hear it. But I'm going to play it for you right now, the exact words, so you guys can actually remember what she said, and you can go on X and Facebook and tell stupid people, oh, he's delaying it for 2 weeks. He's not doing anything. This is what she said.
The ongoing situation in Iran. I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick.
Okay, so that's a quote. A lot of people were already in the press conference room, forgot that one word. Which, again, as he's speaking it, and he had his press secretary speak it, the word was within. Does not necessarily mean 14 days. Doesn't mean 1 day. It means sometime within now and 14 days I will make my decision. It could be in an hour. But you won't hear that in the press, and you just heard it right then as they asked her the question. So he's going to take 2 weeks to make it. It's not what she said. And I don't understand why people, sometimes even in the chat, don't listen specifically to what is said. That's why sometimes I play things over and over and over, like, listen, within 2 weeks. So that's telling people out there at this point that, and I would make, he told them you got 60 days, and now he's like, I've already got my battle plan. Now I just have to make a decision in the next 2 weeks. So it's a big difference, big difference. Yeah, it could be as soon as tomorrow. But they took it and ran with it right away. Oh, the president has delayed everything for 2 weeks. It's not what she said. And she said that, and she said it perfectly. That's a direct quote, indicating that's the word that he used. Now, I hate to be a stickler for words like that, but it's important when we're talking about, nuclear bombs going off, or not nuclear, but the Moab dropping into a nuclear facility. Now, Monica is supposed to go out at 2:15. I think Ashley's going to contact her. I don't know if she's going to make it back to her area in 15 minutes from wherever that is. I don't expect her to run over just to get here. So if she comes on, she comes on. Yeah, thanks, Barry. Within 2 weeks. Those were, and I was waiting. As you can tell, I had it ready. I'm like, I think people are not going to understand. And of course, watch the news. You're going to hear it on the news. President Trump has delayed any action for the next 2 weeks. No, that's not what he said. And then it's crazy. 2 weeks is the day before the July 4th. Very interesting. Very interesting. Context matters. Unfortunately, the MSM doesn't know what context is. I'm sure once you leave here, you're going to see all kinds of people on X talk about, oh, he waffled. He's not doing anything. He's going to sit back for the next 2 weeks. Like, you didn't hear him. Again, why would he tell people what he's going to do? Think about the situation that he has in front of him right now. You think he's going to telegraph to Iran or even Israel that much as to what he's going to decide to do? Even Israel is giving him probably intel and saying, here's where the thing is, but they're not going to know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. China sent huge planes to Iran. I did see that. The dumbness of the media is astounding. And the dumbness with it is that they want to sway public opinion. And so now they can go back. It'll be on MSNBC. President Trump is waffling. He's flip-flopping. He doesn't really know what he's going to be doing. Okay, really. Okay. I don't know where you guys are when you're coming in. I know the stock market is not open. Excuse me. Everybody told me it wasn't open. I hadn't checked it. You know why? I don't give a crap about Juneteenth. Didn't even know what Juneteenth was. And I assumed it was open. I don't know. Whatever. Juneteenth. Are you kidding me? Making up these fake-ass holidays. I have never, ever baled any hay. Never picked any cotton. Oh, wait, I did pick cotton. I remember the first time I saw a cotton field when I came to the south, and I pulled over to the side of the road, and actually Robin took a picture of my fingers pulling cotton off the plant. I was like, oh, that's what they did. I don't know. My mom didn't, my father didn't, my grandfathers didn't, my great-grandfathers, great-mother, no, none of them. I'm sorry. I'm a mutt. I don't know anything about it. I'm only black because they tell me I'm black. But my grandfather on my father's side was Scottish. Hence the name Cunningham, which is an Irish name. And on my mother's side, he was just a white guy. So, anyway, not going to deal with it. Barry, they don't listen or understand. I even posted as soon as people questioned it. Listen, people. Yeah, they don't listen. You know why? Because people hear what they want to hear. What makes them feel, good about something. And because of that, that's why they can get away with what they get away with. It's absolutely crazy. Like I've always wanted to pick cotton. Just drive. I mean, literally, I was driving down, and I remember the first time I hit Georgia, and I'm like, what's that? And somebody said, those are cotton fields. I'm like, cotton? Like that kind of cotton? Like, yeah. All right, let's pull over. I want to see this. And I went through the fence, and I picked some cotton. So I could say I did. I have that picture somewhere. I have it somewhere. Because you have blood other than white, that doesn't make you black. Do all these people with mixed blood chains? I don't know. I can't. It's too confusing. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. When I was going to school, there were only a couple boxes you had to pick, and that was the one. Okay, it is what it is. All right, so that was the press conference. Monica will be on in like 10 minutes. So what I think I'll do for this next couple minutes, I can go to some other stuff I have to talk about. But hold on, I'm just checking something. Where's my list here? You know how Rush says his stack of stuff. I call it my list. All right, let me just play this real quick. This is pretty cool. If you're like me, you may have thought to yourself the same way I did, why didn't we have a big old flag in front of the White House before? Why is it just there now? Why did President Trump, why is he the first person to recognize and put the big flag up there? I can't tell you. I don't know. It looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I guess he's going to put one on the other side too. So front and back, giant flags in front of the White House. Beautiful. Should have had it there for years. Why would we not have had this giant flag up there? I can't tell you. But let me just do a quick cut here to a read so I can get you guys to understand here something. With everything that's been going on, crazy stuff is happening. Federal Reserve is not, lowering interest rates. People may start to get in trouble. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. Just one document. It's called a quitclaim. They then use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small documentary fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they can take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened. Until, of course, you get the knock on the door or that certified letter saying you're in collection, or you get a foreclosure notice. So when's the last time you've checked on your home title? If your answer is never, maybe that's something you may want to do right now. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Barry at HomeTitleLock.com and listen to this. You'll get a free, won't cost you a dime, free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. It's free. Why wouldn't you do it? Think about that. Why wouldn't you take advantage of something that's free? Not even a shipping charge. Just go ahead and go to the website. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use the promo code Barry, or go to HomeTitleLock.com/Barry Cunningham. That's HomeTitleLock.com/Barry Cunningham. Use that. Use Barry as a promo code, and you will get a free title report on your property. Now, I understand. Let me just tell you something. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of real estate stuff right now, but I do want to tell you, people think that can't happen. I'm in a unique situation because of being in the real estate business for so long and Robin being an agent, that I've actually met with people who are like, I want to sell my house, and then we do all the work, and JJ does, and I'm like, you don't own it. People think the mortgage and the title are the same thing, and they're not. And people can just take your house from underneath you, and it happens quite a bit. And there's other people who say, I can do it for free. Sure, you can cut your hair for free. You can do your own lawn. You can do so many different things for free, but if you don't know how to do it and how to look and how to do a title search on your property to make sure that your name is the actual owner of a property, that's why companies like Home Title Lock are there. And it is pretty easy to do, by the way. Just saying. All right, so it's 2:10. Monica should be here in 5 minutes. I don't want to start something. I guess I could start something. I think this is about a 5 minute video for the show. Let's listen to this.
Now, tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have something extraordinary happening in New York. The city may have a reputation outside of New York as a liberal bastion, but actually it's known for electing mostly centrist mayors. There have been exceptions on both sides through really sleepy campaigns. And right now we're actually experiencing something stunning, which is that a Democratic Socialist far-left candidate, Zoran Mondani, has won, appears to be on track to win about 30% of the vote.
Now, earlier when I was talking and I was telling you how they're winning from within, this story here, it really shook me because I love New York. And as bad as it is, I don't want to see it to fall to communist. And they're actually getting people to support this idiot. He's full on. There's no veil. Yes, I am a communist socialist. And they're about to vote him in as mayor. Hopefully, can you imagine we have to hope Cuomo actually wins?
So this is really a look, this piece, at why that is. And what I actually found is that Mamdani is not only winning far-left voters, he's eating deep into the base of the Democratic Party's establishment. In moneyed neighborhoods, you're seeing his signs in brownstones that are, worth millions of dollars, and also in working class.
Why do Democrats walk around and just shoot themselves in the foot? Brownstones worth millions of dollars. So you're talking about rich people. These rich people in New York City are voting for a socialist commie. Let that sink in for a second. A socialist commie is getting money and backing from rich people. I don't know how they've brainwashed people like this.
New York. And the reason is because when you talk to voters on the street, and when you live in New York, which I do, there is a group of Democrats, including Andrew Cuomo, and he's a real standard bearer for this, I would argue, who have held on to power by stomping out competition, by using really big name recognition, but haven't really delivered for their constituents. And they've delivered for some of them, but there's a broad base of the Democratic Party, including just young professionals and older people who want to see more fight against Donald Trump. And they are very angry at the Democratic Party establishment. So in some ways...
So we're so angry at Donald Trump, we'll throw our city away. That make any sense to anybody? Many people go to New York, they like going to Broadway plays, they like the fashion district, they like Little Italy, Chinatown. And you're telling me, with all that there, the rich people with money, and young professionals are like, you know what? I'd like to vote in a commie. Yeah, that seems like that's the way we'll tell Donald Trump. We'll vote in a commie. Why? Why are you basically doing self-flagellation at this point? Oh, I'm bad. I make too much money. I work on Wall Street. I'm on television. Oh, forgive me. Bring the commie. What?
Cuomo's entry into this race has made it hard for other candidates who are consensus builders like Brad Lander to get noticed. And then it's also made it really easy for a lot of Democratic voters to be angry enough to reject a consensus candidate and say, you know what, no one's listening to me. I don't think it's radical to have free childcare or free buses, things that Mamdani is running on. So,
of course you don't feel it's radical to have free stuff when you're not paying for it. That's a no-brainer. Hey, I want free bus passes. I want a free phone. Yeah, I'd like to get some free passes to some restaurants. Maybe throw in some Broadway plays. How about tickets to the Knicks? Yeah, we can have that too. Oh, wait a minute, the Rangers. Yeah, can we get all that free stuff? Everybody loves free stuff if you're not paying for it. But somebody's paying for it. The same rich people who are trying to vote this guy in. Make it make sense. Seriously, make it make sense. You're an up-and-coming Wall Street trader. You're making six figures, 2, 3, 400,000 a year. You know what capitalism is all about. You're loving it. You're living it. You got the nice penthouse. You're doing all well, and you're going to vote a commie in. I don't understand. It makes no sense.
We're about to see something extraordinary. Mamdani is within one political upset of potentially winning this primary, which is still Cuomo's to lose.
We're gluttons for punishment, evidently. A few other Mamdani gems. He said that taxation isn't theft, capitalism is. He wants to freeze all rents. He has refused to condemn the Holocaust. Even the New York Times opinion section came out and basically said he was too liberal and that his agenda is damaging. And, you know, I want people to know, I want you to know that people in New York are not, for the most part, this crazy. And in fact, in 2024, Trump saw an increase in votes in 10 to 15 points. But the issue is that Mamdani has been able to get a very radical and vocal group of supporters. He's very popular on social media. AOC endorsed him. Bernie Sanders endorsed him. He's very charismatic. And the concern is that on the Democratic primary, the people who turn out to vote are the radicals. They are the people who are going to encampments at Columbia, who show up to the ICE protests. Those are his supporters. And the concern is that they'll show up to anything to protest, and they will certainly show up to vote. Whereas the centrist candidates, a lot of their people have jobs and a life and won't necessarily show up to support their candidate because I don't think they realize that he's a very possible winner here.
And people are worried about us getting involved in a conflict in Iran. I told you, they're already here. And they smile at you and they say the right things. You get free stuff. You can get as much free stuff as you want. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. This stuff isn't theft. Capitalism is theft. Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. Meanwhile, you're a capitalist funding a guy who's telling you that you're the problem. Reminds me of that skit with Dave Chappelle when he doesn't realize he's black. You see that? He goes to the KKK meetings and everything, and he's in a KKK garb, and he doesn't realize he's black. I don't think these capitalists realize what this guy's all about. I see Monica getting set here. Let me give her a chance to get her catch her breath from running over. We'll be right back, and then we'll go right to Monica.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hello, Monica. Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you.
There you are. Is it hot out there?
Hi, guys.
We went from taking you during a very cold weather where it's windy, now it's hot out there, so it's pretty crazy. How's that big, beautiful flag looking out there?
Oh my gosh. Wait, I wonder if you can see it. If I just turn. Can you kind of see the top of it? It's like
Uh-uh.
right. Yeah, wait. Sorry, it's like mirrored. Hold on. Let me get out of the way.
Oh, there it is.
There you
Okay.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can kind of see the top of it. There it
Wow.
is. It looks
Wow.
beautiful.
That is. And when's the other one? There's two of them going up, right? One in the front and one in the back.
You can't see it because the trees are up, but it is up and it is big and beautiful.
Oh, great. Fantastic. All right. So today's press conference, you were in there. Oh, by the way, congratulations on actually getting to ask a question inside the Oval Office yesterday. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Oh my gosh,
We're
that
all
was
watching.
surreal. I gotta walk you through like how we got this because I've been pushing for months for Turning Point USA and Frontlines to be in the new media press pool, and we
Uh-huh.
finally got the opportunity, and there was no better day to do it, considering that both Monday and Tuesday were very quiet days. There was nothing for the press to access. And then yesterday, it seemed like everything was kicking off between 8:55 in the morning to run to the South Lawn and see the new pole getting lifted and the American flag flying high. It was fantastic. And then we got an impromptu invitation into the Oval Office, which I didn't think was going to be happening. And I loaded off two big questions about the Senate Judiciary hearing on who was running the White House under Joe Biden, and then obviously that question that President Trump loved about the southern border. It was so cool being in the Oval Office. I've always dreamed of this moment, like being with President Trump and I don't know, having President Trump being like, I like you. Who
I
are
like
you
you.
with? I was like, oh, get out of here.
That must have made all of them really jealous. Like, oh gosh, we got to deal
They
with
were
this.
not happy. Right. They were like, oh God, who is this girl? Get her out of here. Not Trump, though, the other media.
Yeah. So today, it seemed like a very somber press room. I mean, why was the mood so? It seemed from us on the outside watching, maybe it wasn't the same while you're in there. Why did it seem so down today?
Well, there's a lot of serious news. There's a lot of tension with the Middle East. There's a lot of information out there that President Trump is going to strike Iran. President Trump is weighing the decision to do so. And of course, we finally got an answer that will be decided within 2 weeks. That could come tomorrow. That could come during NATO. That could come over the weekend. Like we have no idea, but I think that that's really the main driving factor as to why it was so somber. But a lot of the questions have been around Iran and Israel, and rightly so. I mean, Iran has been apparently close to nuclear weapons for a couple decades now, and it'll be interesting to see just how close they have gotten. I'm wondering, what the logistics are of Fordow, which is like this nuclear base hidden in the mountains where you need bunker blasters to rip out all the uranium in there. And there's a lot of logistics, and this administration has been doing a fantastic job in being very articulate and being very careful about what it reveals. When I was in the new media pool yesterday, CNN's Elena Treen was like prying President Trump to give some sort of answer and some kind of readout as to, oh, so did you have conversations with Iran? When did you have them? What did you talk about? Like, okay, I'm sorry, that you cannot know that information. That's top secret. That's not for press to know, because they know that media outlets like CNN would go running to God knows who and just spill the beans. So it's very important to keep all this stuff under wraps and kind of not keep people guessing, because we're all just going to wonder. But it's so important to keep sensitive information quiet and closed. And what's interesting about that point, Barry, is because this administration and President Trump has been having all these top secret meetings every single morning and every single day. And there is somebody who's been leaking it to the public about, okay, we're meeting for this time, even though it wasn't on the schedule. Or, okay, people are saying that Trump is considering striking Iran. Who's spewing that to the press? Who's leaking that information? And it's dangerous. It's somebody in President Trump's inner circle. And that's what I'm concerned about. And that's probably why a lot of media members and the American people are kind of nervous. And that's why I must have felt that solemn.
Yeah, because for the most part, he's been able to keep ranks closed. We haven't been seeing any real big leaks, but now some of this stuff, how he's going to have this meeting or going to have that meeting, It did make you sit back and go, wonder who is doing this. Why is it that it's been so quiet? You haven't seen RFK Jr. say much, haven't seen Howard Lutnick say much. It just seems like everybody has closed ranks around everything. Scott Besson, he was on Miranda Devine's podcast, but other than that, there's not a lot of people out there talking other than Scott Besson.
Yeah, and we haven't. Today was the first day that we had heard from Tom Homan here at the White House. Usually he comes by multiple times a week, but I saw him just this morning talking to Fox Business, and he did a press gaggle here outside the Oval Office earlier this morning. But yeah, I think everything's pretty tightened up at this point, given the situation overseas. I mean, we're working with a very delicate situation, and of course, all the focus is on that. But that's just how the White House works, is things just kind of fluctuate as far as what becomes the top story. And it's very interesting and crazy how quickly things go by, where what becomes the top story and then what goes away in the next week and that kind of thing. But this, I feel like this has kind of been something that's been looming in the back of President Trump's head and in this administration ever since October 7th. And you can thank Joe Biden for that happening, because this would have never happened. And it makes me question whether the previous administration was setting President Trump up to have to deal with all this now and put him in a really tough situation where he has to make decisions that could split the base, could make him look not good. There's a lot of questions surrounding this current situation here on the ground. But at the end of the day, you got to trust that President Trump knows what he is doing. We elected a commander-in-chief, not a coward.
Now, like you just said, on the ground, there's probably not a lot of Trump supporters in your line of work that you run into, but the ones that, you must see the guys from the different networks that are conservative. Do they feel like the base is actually fracturing, or do they think it's just manufactured AstroTurf?
I think it's manufactured. I think don't believe everything that you see on X and on social media, because that's kind of like an echo chamber for people to just talk what's on their mind. And this has been on the minds of many people. Of course, this affects us as a country. It's our national security. And everyone's got an opinion, and everyone's going to agree or disagree on somebody's opinion. So I think that's why it appears to be that way. But essentially, at the end of the day, we all have one common idea, which is world peace, whichever way that works. And I know that President Trump doesn't want to drag us into a war, which is why he's been prolonging striking Iran, or these plans to strike Iran. He said yesterday, he's like, I'm not going to do anything until Tehran comes to the table to talk about the nuclear situation. He said today, we're going to talk about a deal. He doesn't want a war. And I don't know why people think that he does, because that's just not true.
What is it? I mean, would they dare bring Iranians into the White House, or would they meet in a neutral location? I couldn't see that he would take that kind of a risk. What do you think?
No, absolutely not. If anything, they would probably hold a phone call with each respective advisor in the room, just like they did with Russia or China. I can see them deploying people from the administration to talk to the people of Iran, whether that's at a secure location in Saudi Arabia or wherever that may be, where there won't be any sort of trouble, whatever that looks like. But certainly not here, I don't think. That's too secure of a location.
No, I do not want them. And so tomorrow,
thank you.
Tomorrow's Friday, and he hasn't been down to Mar-a-Lago in a while. And is there going to be any indication of what thing? I mean, I wouldn't see him flying out of Washington and coming down here to South Florida with all this going on. Do you think he'll be leaving?
If he does leave, I can see him going to maybe Bedminster, or I hope he takes a day to just let his mind rest at least. But of course, we're in a very sensitive situation where that probably can't happen, at least not for a while. But I could see him staying here and making those phone calls and having those conversations, because this guy just never stops. And I think it's all hands on deck at this point, especially given the types of outrage that we've been seeing and the different tensions throughout the different kinds of reports that people have been giving. Is Trump going to strike Iran? He's got to work this out. And we were kind of saying, myself and some of my other colleagues that are very friendly to us, we were saying, President Trump's got to address the media. He's got to say something. And we all were thinking that was going to happen yesterday or tonight. That could still be coming. That could still be a possibility because you just never know. But I will say that yesterday when I was in the new media pool, that the president seemed very calm, cool, and collected regarding this whole situation. When I was talking to him, he did not seem bothered at all. He seemed like he trusted the situation on the ground, that it's in good hands. He is in control because he is the alpha and the omega in the room with no matter who is there. But I was shocked because I really expected him to kind of be, maybe you could tell something's on his mind or you could tell that he's off, but that wasn't the case at all. Throughout the entire day yesterday, he seemed great and in good spirits. So that gives me some hope and some positivity.
And he loves being around athletes. So when I saw him talking to the soccer players, he eats that up. He loves it. I think in his mind he's a wannabe athlete, so he loves that. So I don't know if you have an office. I see that, and when you come out and do your hits, you're kind of a distant away from the White House. But from where you are during the day, have you noticed Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, who's coming and going?
Typically, it's neither one of those. I think I only saw Pete Hegseth once, and he didn't do a gaggle out here in front of the Oval Office. I don't think I've ever seen Marco Rubio out here. It's always been Tom Homan. It's always been Brooke Rollins. She comes out here quite often. Karoline Leavitt. Sometimes Scott Bessent. Sometimes Howard Lutnick. Never Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think Alina Habba did once.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, but it's kind of like your usual heavy hitters that come out to speak to the press, which is good, but it would be nice to hear from others as well. But I mean, we'll take what we can get. You know what I mean?
Have you noticed them going into the White House at least, or because I'm trying to see who?
Yeah.
Okay, they have been going in and out of the White House. You know who's been really quiet? Surprisingly quiet is Stephen Miller. He's not even been on television.
Yes, yeah, okay. So he also is a regular that we see, and because we haven't seen him, I completely forgot about him. But he's one of my favorites, and I have not seen him in a while. That's a really good point. He's one of President Trump's best, and I think that the president really needs him close by at this time. And he's so good with media too, that I'm sure that he's kind of working closely with the press team and making sure that everything that is said is cleared and that all the information is accurate. I don't know when we can expect to see him again. I'm hoping that it's sometime soon. But he's been very active on social media, as we know. He's very good at that. So, but as far as here on Pebble Beach, it's been a while. You're right.
Yeah. It's been very quiet. But switch gears for a second. I want to give you some props. I'm going to show it tonight, but you had a wonderful speech at the, what was it, the Women's Convention? I forget what it was called.
Yeah, this was the Young Women's Leadership Summit in Dallas, and I definitely did not expect to be speaking at this until like a week and a half before. And I was like, uh-oh, I got to put together a 15-minute speech. How the hell do I do that? And so I was able to kind of put something together, and I'm really glad that it worked out. I practiced it so many times, but I'm glad that you guys loved it, and it was such an honor to be speaking at that in front of everybody.
I didn't show it to him yet.
It's a good one.
I'm going to show it tonight, but I just wanted to let everybody know that you did a fantastic speech, and I'm going to show it tonight.
Thank you.
On the second show. So I wanted to congratulate you while I had you, and I hope you're still enjoying married life. Everything's going well with you and your husband. And I may see you in Washington very soon. Ashley's got something set up. We haven't got it confirmed yet in terms of how, but Tim Burchett invited us to come to his office and film him up there. So, well, maybe.
Oh, he's my favorite. I'm so jealous. I love him so much. He's so precious. Protect him at all costs, Barry.
Oh, yes, of course. We're going to work on that. But I'm see if I can bribe him to bring Senator Kennedy with him or something, because those two guys in a room, that would be fantastic just to talk to those two guys. All right, what's coming up next with you, Monica?
Oh my goodness, what is coming up next? Oh, there's so many things. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I know it's never a dull moment. I'm assuming another intelligence briefing tomorrow. We're prepping for NATO happening, I believe, at The Hague in Netherlands. Wow. That is what's happening coming up. Yep. So we'll see how that goes as far as like meeting with foreign leaders. We know that the G7 really took off with a hitch. The G7 that never happened is what I like to call it, in our 51st state. So, we're keeping an eye on that. And as of right now, we're kind of calm.
Yeah.
You know, as far as the daily happenings go, I am going to the Student Action Summit in Tampa, Florida. That's in July 11th to the 13th. I'll be in
Okay.
Tampa. So
Is that
I don't
a
know how far you are from Tampa.
is that a turning point event?
Yeah, yeah, that'll be Turning
Yeah.
Point. Trump Jr. will be there. Steve Bannon will be there. It'll be like a star-studded event.
Oh,
So.
I'll have Ashley get in touch. I'm due east like 3 hours from Tampa, but it's a hop, skip, and a jump if I get an airplane. So yeah, I'll definitely come out and see you guys then.
Well, you should you should sign up for Media Row or something, and you can grab like really great interviews right in real time because they'll just walk on by.
Thank you, and I will definitely see if we can't set that up. That would be fun. When is it?
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
When is it?
It's July 11th to the 13th.
Okay, I'm there. Just we'll start coordinating. See if I'll get the flight booked. Ashley's up in North Carolina, so we'll see if we can't fly her down as well. Monica,
Hey, I'd love to meet you guys in person.
Oh, can't wait! Take you and if your husband's there, take you guys out to dinner. But thank you very much for yeah. What do you like to eat? You like steak or seafood?
Oh, I love both. I'm on my seafood diet, Barry. I see food and I eat it, so I don't discriminate.
See, I can't believe that because you're so tiny. So seafood, I'd be so jealous if you could pound food like that. All right, so thank you very much for taking the time out of an obviously busy day and hitting us after the press conference. I was telling everybody, I'm like, Karoline was so late. I don't know if Monica's going to make it because it's a far distance from the White House. By the way, why was she late? Just they don't tell you. They just decide to walk out when they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming she had a meeting with the president and kind of going over what he wanted to relay to all of us. So that's what I'm going to assume.
All right, Monica, thank you very much for taking the time. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great rest of your week.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Monica. This is going to be some fun. Maybe I will indeed head out to Tampa to meet these guys. Yes, and I did drop a little news. I didn't get anything from Ashley to tell me not to say it, but yes, I guess she and Tim Burchett's office have been talking, and we've been invited to come up and film in his office, and so we're going to coordinate that. That should be flipping awesome, absolutely crazy awesome. And also, I think Rumble has a studio up there that we could use, so we won't even have any downtime. We'll actually do a show. We'll go ahead and film with Tim Burchett. Some big things happening here. As I've been telling you, we're changing some things up. I'm going to be getting into a new studio. We're going to do multiple broadcasts per day, so I'll have a different setup and different things will be running, so you guys can pretty much choose what you want to watch, and then I'll have the live schedule as well. So things are happening. So with that, I'm going to cut it now. We're already 2 hours. Let me read Super Chats. So actually talk to some of you guys first. Dawn says, awesome. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun if we can do that. Now the chat, is it nice, feel good feeling in your heart? Huh? I don't know what that means. I hope there's nothing wrong with the chat. I hope you guys are all happy. I'm so happy for you and all of us, Barry. Yes, thank you very much, because it wouldn't happen without you. Media Row in Tampa, baby. Tampa, right across the state. By the way, I was referring to, and if you haven't seen it, let me just explain that to you. Monica, at this young woman's event in Tampa, which I gotta promote it because she's done so much for us, and not many people saw the video of her speech. So we're gonna play that tonight. I may play a couple cuts from a couple other people as well, so you can hear, especially for you ladies, because it was for the ladies, the women in the audience, and there were some things that were said that I think some women would really, really want to hear. So I'm not saying that you need to hear this or anything like that, but I watched it and I went, wow, that was very interesting. That was something that people might like. So tonight, it's all about the ladies. All about the ladies tonight. We're going to play some of this stuff. And then even when we do the jump over on Rumble, it'll be about the ladies, because I don't have no interview oh, wait a minute. Do I have an interview tonight? I'm sorry. See, I don't even know what days things are. People talking about Juneteenth. Did you know the stock market was open? I don't even know what I'm doing later on today. Never mind if the stock market is open. Hold on. Let me check my schedule, because if it's not on my schedule, it ain't happening. All right. Today is the 19th. and let me look at the 19th, and no, I don't have anybody scheduled for tonight. So we're going to listen to a couple of these speeches from the ladies. We're going to have a good time. I might even give some stuff away. Yeah, I think it's time for a couple giveaways. And you know, maybe it's even time. Maybe somebody might want to come down to Tampa. Maybe I can see. I don't know if I can promise that yet until I actually research and see if I can get tickets for people to come down to Tampa. Stay humble, Barry. Always. Always. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna go back to my days playing ball. And one of the guys that used to coach us, and I used to hear him, the whole thing with Herschel Walker. It was a Herschel Walker moment. And I remember one day watching film of Herschel Walker, and then like, look what he does here. And Herschel Walker never spiked the ball, never did much celebration. The guys would jump on him, but he handed the ball back to the referee. And one time he was asked, "You look stoic. You look like, you know, he just hand the ball back." And he's like, "Because that's not the end game. I'll be back here. I'll be back here often." I was like, wow, here's a guy who understood. I'm just doing my job. I'm supposed to score touchdowns. That's why I'm here. And so, yes, staying humble is all about, it's built in. Barry played Ladies Night as a part of the music. You got it. You got it. Yeah, absolutely. Charlie Kirk's wife attended the event. I would think so because it was her, actually his event. It was Turning Point. So, yeah, I pretty much think I would expect her. Great place to make men football. Absolutely. All right, so cool. Ladies' night. Yes, that's definite. I'm like an hour and a half from Tampa. Oh, wait, maybe time for a road trip. Let me get it all set up, and we'll announce we got July 11th, right? So maybe that's where we'll do. We will hear Ladies' Night by Kool and the Gang tonight. Yes, it is. It will be a Ladies' Night, that's for sure. All right, yeah, Herschel Walker. Just look up some of his stuff. And, you know, don't forget the politics. I'm just saying the kind of athlete and what his mindset was. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. Okay, somebody just reminded me. Okay, Clayton. I'm going to play that skit tonight. Don't get offended, all right? Let me write that down. Don't get offended. I can play it on Rumble, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Clayton Bigsby, the black white guy who was in the KKK. It was one of his most hilarious pieces. And that's how I figure out these rich people that are endorsing socialists. Like, y'all don't even know. You're the blind black guy in the KKK. And I'm going to tell you right now, he uses a few words, a few select words. I'll try to bleep them out. But you know the N word, which is coming from the black guy, so it's kind of funny. But in any event, I forgot all about that. That is too crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, let me get ready. A couple things that did get mentioned today that I didn't get to cover, but I just want to let you guys know. You did hear this at the White House. Not that you care, but it would be remiss of me not to talk about it. President Trump signed the executive order extending the deadline for the TikTok closing for 90 days. Whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right. And then he signed this one. He put this one out. And this one was interesting to me because lately he's been going hard after Fox News, even though we know he likes Jesse and I know he likes Ducey. But bam, the crooked Fox News polls got the election wrong. I won by much more than they said I would and have been biased against me for years. They are always wrong and negative. It's why MAGA hates Fox News, even though their anchors are great. This has gone on for years, but they never changed the incompetent polling company that does their work. Now a Fox News poll comes out this morning, giving me a little bit more than a 50% at the border, and yet the border is miraculously perfect. Nobody was able to come in last month. 60,000 people came in with Sleepy Joe. I hate fake pollsters, one of the worst, but Fox will never change their discredited pollster. All right, so he took a shot at Fox, which I guess they made their, and it's funny. He is this a video? Yeah, this is a video. that just got posted. Let me see if I should go ahead and download this real quick so you guys can hear this. 1 second. He literally, when did he post this? 25 minutes ago, which I think you guys are going to want to hear. Hold on. Okay, is that it? That's it. Give me a second. Got to put my ears in. Got to make sure that I can hear so that you can hear. And let's listen.
What, are you kidding me? 56% approval in a brand new Rasmussen poll for President Trump. 56% of the American people think he's doing a great job. That is a landslide. That is awesome. And you consider everything he's up against and everything he's going through and everything that, all the innovation that he's come up with and the constant loud opposition of the media, and his numbers at 56%. You know who that beats? Ronald Reagan at this point in his second term, just 52%. It reminds me, the Gipper and President Trump together. Isn't this an amazing picture? The two of them at some function at the White House. Look at that. We got the 40th president and the 45th and the 47th president all in one spot. It's pretty awesome. So, 56%. That is historic. I always knew that actually President Trump's vision would be popular. What's really not to like about it? When you get through all of the rhetoric and the distortions, make America great again, having borders, not sexualizing children, not getting into forever wars and then not winning them, it just has mass appeal. And you think about where he was a year ago, not even a year ago. He was still going through all of this nonsense, all of this crap. And today, 56% in the polls. That's important. It's not just some number. It's important for him to get his agenda completed, right? People respond. People in the Beltway, they respect a number like that a lot.
A lot. He's not kidding. 56%. They're going to try and tweak this as much as they possibly can to make it look like it's not that good. It's that good. It really is that good. All right, so let me go through these. Jax, we need the not forever war to end on our terms. God protect President Trump and bless America and Israel. Agreed. Demon of Cybertron, my mother-in-law lived one neighborhood away from the Bourbon Street attacker. They are definitely close to everyone. He's talking about sleeper cells. Tommy Ratcliffe, populations Jews in Israel 7.8, Jews in America 7.4. That's why Iran hates America. And a lot of Americans hate it. It's not just Iran. Let's be completely honest here. Can we be honest? Okay. It's not just Iranians who hate Jews. For some reason, that is a hot button, and a lot of people in America, they look side eyes at the Jewish people. We need to own that as an American, as American people here. We need to own that there are many people, and you know who they are. Some of them on X, you see them. It's worse than being anti-Semite. They hate them, and that's the problem we have here. You have to wonder, people who are resisting the war, bombing, how much of them are worried and upset because it's us helping Israel versus us if we were doing something else. I guarantee if we were bombing something in Russia, they'd all be running out right now. Bomb Putin, bomb Putin. They love it. So it's okay for us to go ahead and bomb Russia and maybe even bomb some other countries, but you don't help out Israel. Let's call it for what it really is. I mean, let's be serious. Deanna Hobbs, his numbers are rising. Don't let anyone convince me you different. Influencers are looking for payday, just like Barry said. They're no better than MSM. I hate to say that, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not, like I said, many times, you guys know I live in a Jewish neighborhood, a gated community, and 99.9% of the people who live in here are Jewish. There's a Shabbat right there on a corner next to the gatehouse, and these are some of the nicest people I've ever lived around. It's the most quiet neighborhood, the nicest people. And so, I am a little bit biased, but whatever. Mr. Anderson, easy to spread rumors, hate showing forth, love isn't. Very, very good. Starfleet, okay, I checked USA Today. It will be closed Thursday and reopen the 20th tomorrow. BLS, oh my God, Barry, it's not open. You imagine? I could not, I think you asked me, somebody asked me, what do you mean, and before I buy a stock, I have to check with Robin? Well, let me just explain it. We are partners, life partners. And so if I'm going to do something, believe it or not, even as so much as like replacing lights. Hey, honey, is it okay if I do this? Yeah, she's not going to say no, but I just want her to know. Just respect. It's not like I'm asking permission. It's more like letting her know. And same thing with me. She's like, can I get this? You don't ask me. Just let me know. But other than that, Veronica Holsofsky, thank you. BLS, my great mother's brother was Chinese, and I'm a cracker. Oh, you crack me, I'm a cracker. Petty Quarter, why call it Juneteenth when it's June 19th? Just call it Emancipation Proclamation Day. That would make it more legit, wouldn't it? But then you'd hurt their feelings. BLS, on a serious note, the markets are closed. Can't trade stocks for crypto is 24/7. Yep, soul's gold. I don't care. Beverly Litton, my dad, a World War II Army veteran who fought in the Pacific Theater, would be livid by what's happening now. He didn't put up with these fools. Love it or leave it. Agreed. Definitely agreed. Max Granny, Barry put my email address in the chat for SB. Well, he will definitely get it to me. Nelson, thank you very much. Stray shot. Rush Limbaugh helped lay the conservative foundation, but it's in our hands now. Really wish I could have voted for both poll options. Okay, it's in our hands now, but there's a lot of people trying to carry the torch, and there was only one him. Only one him. Nobody can do it the way he did it. Nobody. A lot of people may try. All I can do is hope to read and research and see things and maybe get this much of his stuff rubbed off on me. Beverly Litton, wonder if the source of Kristi Noem's allergy reaction is being investigated. I read she had visited a biolab prior to the reaction. Notice how that got quiet. Nobody's talking about that. Wizard of Ovarks, Barry, look up Jeremy Dodge. His songs, I Am American and Stand Up, are super patriotic. Jeremy Dodge. Let me write that down. Okay, I got it. Beverly Litton again, people are indoctrinated that communism is a good thing. The mainstream media is complicit in that, and the education systems. Yeah, communism for you, but not for them. Susan Book, can't wait, Barry, to see you in Washington. Yep, I'm going to have to put on a tie. I would never go into a congressperson's office wearing, the shirt and stuff like that. I would definitely still going to wear the hat probably, because I ain't got no hair. So, but I'll wear a tie. Beverly Litton just saw a Newsmax that the president's doomsday plan has landed in D.C. Ooh. Let me explain to you what hold on, let me do this last one. Barry, thank you for all you do. Keep praying for the president and his administration. Yes, indeed. So the doomsday plane is the plane that flies around nonstop with, in case it's doomsday, and the president just stays on it. So if that plane has showed up in Washington, I don't know why it would. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks he's in danger in Washington, is he? All right, looks like SV has sent me a couple of posts that he wants me to show you guys. Let me go ahead and bring these in. All right, so a couple of tweets from George. We haven't had George on in a while, Ashley. We need to talk to George. All right, so the fact that President Trump still hasn't decided to blow up Iran for Israel is a strong indicator that he was genuinely seeking diplomacy, but Netanyahu blew up his talks. No, there wasn't a secret scheme to distract Iran for Israel to strike. Trump and the Iranians were in serious negotiations, and Netanyahu wouldn't hold off any longer on attacks he'd been dreaming of and planning for decades. Unfortunately, still expect the United States to join the war because major escalations are coming, especially if Israel takes out Khamenei. Now, if Israel takes out Khamenei, who's going to escalate on their behalf? They've already killed all the other people. And they did escalate yesterday because they hit a hospital in Israel. And Netanyahu has already said, well, you can expect some massive stuff because you effed around, now you're going to find out. And then he says, if Trump manages to negotiate a new deal with Iran, give him the Nobel Peace Prize, but someone also needs to buy a lot of tissues for Mark Levin. Joe took a swing at Mark, who recently posted angrily that all diplomatic discussions should end. His tears will have enough salt to flavor all my meals. I don't get it. I'm sure Mark Levin has President Trump's number. I'm sure Tucker, just talk to each other. Why are you guys posting all this crap? Well, just lots of clicks. I can't think any otherwise. You got a show that comes on twice a week. You're on Saturday and Sunday nights. Why in the hell are you airing all this dirty laundry out on X? It's either some sort of infection or a habit or something, but pick up the phone. If you guys are supposedly friends, I guess not friends anymore. I guess that's long out the window. All right, so we'll see you guys. You know what I'll do since it's early? It's 3 o'clock. Let's plan on getting together at 7 tonight, 7 p.m. instead of 7:30, and that way we don't have to stay up too late, and some of you guys can, come in after dinner or whatever. All right, talk to you guys in a little while.